All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you today. So today we're going to do something a bit more birdie than we usually do. So it'll be eye focused mostly, ears of course always, but mostly eye focused. So just have a nice view and a view where you think you might actually get to see a few birds. And then when we're done with our bird sit, we'll stay afterward and we can have a nest conversation because some of our folks here have some nests they want to share, hawk nests. So, all right, so go ahead and find a nice place to sit. Hi, Linda, good to see you. And just notice what's around you, just with your ears, your eyes, just see who's around right now in all forms of life. Noticing the clouds if there are any. Don't forget about the sky and the ground beneath our feet. Nice. And so as we start to come to this moment in time a little bit more presently by tapping into who's around us, then let's bring ourselves even a little bit closer. And actually today, you know what, let's start with our ears. So we're gonna just with our eyes, how we just sort of expanded our view and we're looking around, seeing who's around. Let's listen. Just listen for who's around us right now and what sounds are joining us as well. What type of wind, if there is any, kind of rustling in the trees or movement on the ground. Remembering to listen behind you, even if your house is behind you or a structure is behind you, just stretch your ears back. I'm quite distracted at the moment. I'm hearing a sound that I haven't, it sounds very thrushy, like very far away. And huh, it's so interesting. I'm excited. I'm like, everyone's on mute, so it's not one of you guys. Anyway, it's always fun when you start to do that, when you start to really tune your ears into sounds that might be more subtle and quiet, what shows up. Good job. So now let's bring it back to ourselves. So just noticing your posture, noticing how you feel on your butt this morning. Remembering to scan your body. Let's start with the crown of our head today. Just becoming familiar with the crown of your head and how it feels. Noticing how your head is actually placed on your spine. Is it leaning forward? Is it resting right in the center? Is it maybe back a little bit further? Giving some attention to your eyes and your nose, your ears and your mouth, all those places that in some fashion communicate with the world, whether it's receptive or expressive. And then moving down to your throat, your neck, your shoulders, noticing if there's any tension in your shoulders. Are your shoulders up by your ears? Are they nice and relaxed? Because all you have to do is just be here in this moment with us. As long as that really is all you have to do. If you've devoted this time to be here, then that's all you've got to do. So you can just relax into it. And then moving down your arms, remembering your elbows, your wrists, all the joints of your fingers, just saying hello to them this morning, remembering that they exist as a part of your body. And then back to your shoulder blades, go down our spine and our back first. All the way down to the very tip of your spine, noticing how that connects with the rest of your body right now. All those nerves that stretch out from your spine to touch every other aspect of your body. And then bringing our awareness to the front of our body, down from our chest to our diaphragm, remembering our lungs, our heart, our liver, all of our important organs, our spleen. Noticing your belly and your belly button, center of your life, where life began. And then low in your belly, and we'll tap into our hips, moving down our thighs, our knees, down your calves into your ankles, and then all the way down to the soles of your feet, your heel, and remembering each of the joints of your toes. You can wiggle them if you want to, just to become connected to them in this moment. And then as you feel the soles of your feet on the earth, we're going to send our roots deep. So take a nice deep breath in. So inhale fully into your lungs. And then as you let it go, let it travel all through your body, down the soles of your feet, and then into the earth, imagining that you have roots that are stretching far into the earth. And just watch where they go. Let them just go wherever they want to right now. Noticing what your roots look like. Are they shallow but far-reaching roots like a fir tree? Or are they a deep taproot that go way, way, way down into the earth? Are you touching other roots of other ones around you? Nice work. So now we'll bring our attention back up into this plane of existence. And go ahead and find a point off in the distance to look at. Something to focus your attention and your eyes on. And of course, if you want to change your posture or anything that you noticed that you weren't particularly happy with, or just you wanted to be a little bit different, you can go ahead and do that now too. And then, as we always do, as you are focusing off in the distance, just allow the rest of your vision to become really soft. So you have your one focal point, but everything else just gets really soft. And as your vision becomes soft, allow everything else in your body just to soften as well. And as we sit here in this quiet space of mindfulness and attentiveness to our world around us, go ahead and set an intention for your time today. Even though you don't know what my intention is for us, what is your intention for being here right now? Just keep it really simple. Just one simple intention for this moment, these next few minutes for us together. So today, as we're looking out on the landscape, just reminding yourself always to come back to owl eyes if you're not seeing what I'm guiding you to look for. And just continuing to look. And so today what we're going to look for is the approach. So it's something we talk about a lot in the master's course, is both the approach and posture. So I want you to look for how the birds that you're seeing approach the tree or the branch or the ground, whatever it is they're about to land on. If you see a bird flying in, just watch how it approaches and watch what it does in the next couple seconds. And don't worry about trying to identify the bird, but we're just going to become aware of different forms of approach and different forms of posture that the birds have. So once they've landed, what is their posture? And you can just let yourself get really curious today. If you have a feeder, do your best to look away from the feeder for once in a while and see where the bird is going and how it might approach a tree or the ground after it leaves the feeder. let your eyes stretch far and wide also. You might even be able to see birds far off in the distance as they approach from the sky. So we'll spend the next couple of minutes in silence, just allowing yourself to get curious, watching the approach of the birds, and just staying in your quiet place. You might get excited to see certain things, but reminding yourself to come back to that stillness within yourself. Good work, everybody. So bring yourself back to your center point where you first looked when we first started practicing owl eyes this morning. Just kind of washing the slate clean, letting yourself reset, and stretching your ears out really far. How far off in the distance can you hear right now? What are the sounds that are stretching out beyond your near environment? Okay, great. So we'll go back to our curious watching of the birds, and you can even put that intention out there for this morning as well, like that you intend or you would like to see the approach of the birds and just see what happens. So again, we'll go back to silence and just watching our birds as they approach the ground or the trees around us. And now you can add another layer. If you have any human humans around you, maybe there's a lawn mower, someone mowing their lawn, maybe someone's walking by, maybe there's a car, just noticing how and you don't have to focus on the humans, but if there are anything else that's moving, maybe it's an animal, not a human, go ahead and watch them too. Watch the approach of the humans and how it might differ from the approach of the birds. Now, for the next couple of minutes, I'd like you to really send your vision out far. So maybe it's up into the sky, maybe it's whatever it is, but just as far as you can, not, doesn't have to be too far away, but farther than you've been looking. Look off in the distance for the approach of the birds or other moving things. Just going to stretch our eyes just a little bit right now. there happens to be no birds near you at the moment, you can look for insects or squirrels, lizards, whatever might be around you. And also, if you do start, or if you see a bird that's, approached and landed in a tree, then watch how it moves about after that. Watch how it approaches the next branch and the branch after that. Okay, great. So take the next couple of moments to offer appreciation or a blessing to those ones that you connected with this morning as a way to wrap your session. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming and joining. If you have to go, you can head out now if you want to, or you can stay for our chat at the end. And for those who are staying, before we get into our hawk nest conversation, I'd love just to chat about this morning and find out what this was like for you. And I'm curious why you think I did this. Like, so what's sort of, yeah, what did you get out of it? I suppose I could say. And also, like, why did we do this morning? What's the purpose of looking at the approach of a bird? Anyone want to share? Was that you, Cheryl? Did you put your hand up? Okay, go for it. Yeah.
When I notice the approach of the bird, I notice that when it lights on an object, it pauses and then it looks around before it does the next thing that it's going to do, hop or fly off to another place, what have you. But it's being very aware of its surroundings, as if to say, I don't want to rush this in case there's danger or in case I might alarm another bird. Unless, of course, they want to alarm another bird to get it away from the food or something.
Which
That
is
that's what it felt like to me.
for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And would you say that that was the case with all of the birds you saw this morning? They all like did that, or was this just one particular
No,
species you were
all,
watching?
all. The acorn woodpeckers, the Steller's jays, the chickadees, everybody just kind of lands, looks, and then pops over to where what they wanted to do. And
Mm,
and really it makes me go, oh, that's right. We also are supposed to do that.
mm.
Pause, reflect, see what's around us so we don't alarm or intimidate, and then proceed gently.
Nice. That's awesome, Cheryl. Thanks. Cool. Anyone else want to share their observations or why you think we did this morning? Yeah, Gabrielle, please.
Well, for once, I hardly saw any birds. And when I tuned in with hearing, I could hear them everywhere. But today was not about seeing. It was really interesting. We call this May gray in Southern California. Like for the whole month of May, it just gets gray. And the few birds that I did see approach were so quick that I couldn't see them unless they went on a wire. I couldn't, they got lost in the trees. But a really interesting thing happened when you started asking us about human approach, and immediately this fire truck went by behind me. And I turned around to look at it and had its, bells and whistles and lights going. And the dogs started howling. And all of a sudden, it was this chaos of sound. And as I'm watching, a great white heron comes down into my canal, which is behind me or next to me. And she was just as patient and as quiet as went about her way looking for fish. And the opposite of these two was so profound. Um, I think we live in such a frenetic world that it was really good for me. And herons are like one of my totems. So it was especially interesting that the heron came in and just went about her feeding.
Yeah, wow, what a contrast there. Just the dichotomy of the and the difference in those two, not only like the yeah, just their approaches, but also like the flashing lights and then the calmness of the heron and not that the heron isn't the heron's like just this like ideal martial arts master to learn from, because they have this way of being ultimately calm and grounded, at least the appearance of calm and grounded, but then like striking when they need to strike, like moving in and like going for the kill when they need to do it. Um, and yeah, I think that they're quite, I mean, all birds, of course, are masterful in what they're doing, and if they're not, then they don't survive, you know. But the heron is like easy for us to watch and easy for us to see the grace in her approach. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, and you're very I think astute in your observations and the depth of what the world is conveying to you. Hmm. Thanks, Gabrielle. Yeah. Anyone else want to share their experience from this morning? Yeah, Julia, please.
Well, what I thought, or the thought that came to me, is that the birds know exactly where they're going and they go right there. It's not like, say, a helicopter where they have to get close and then come in for the landing. They can just go from a distance and hit the spot they're going for. And so I thought that was interesting. I hadn't really thought about it, how they land, before. And in the distance, it's a very windy day and lots of leaves because it's been so rainy. So there's a very tall tree in the distance that's just blowing in the wind. I thought interesting contrast to move as a result of being blown by, to move in response to something rather than moving with intent. So
Yeah, that's so rich. Wow. And I think too with the birds, they've got a little bit of both because they have to play in that, right? Where like they have the intent, but if a gust of wind comes, they have to respond to that, in some ways, but they still are gonna they have to be flexible, right? And change with the wind. So if the wind comes, a big gust of wind, if they wanted to go this way and the wind's pushing them that way, they're like, all right, I've got to like either find a different way to come about that or choose a different branch, right? And yeah, but also to be that tree, the one that's just grounded and rooted and I don't know if a tree has intention or not, but to think that it sort of gives like that freedom, that beauty of beauty. I don't know, has anyone ever let yourself go down a stream and just like close your eyes and just float and let the stream just take you wherever it takes you? It's a really beautiful, if you can do that with friends, it's great because then you feel like you're safe and whatnot, but um, it's quite an incredible practice. It's this big surrender, and I just when you were sharing, Julia, it reminds me of that sense of surrender that I think a tree must have to have, because there's no other choice. There's no other choice but just to surrender to whatever is coming, right? Yeah. Mm.
or
Thank
if
you.
it doesn't surrender, it's broken off.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Super rich. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. All right, Anne, go for it.
Um, I didn't see very many birds landing, so I didn't imagine. But I have my chimney swifts are back, and I can't see them because the trees are blocking the chimney. But when a chimney swift lands or makes its approach, it's like boop. It doesn't stop and perch on something. It's gone. I mean, they do it so quick sometimes, and maybe I need to take a video because I don't know if they go head down, they tuck their wings in and drop. Their approach is whoop, and they're down that chimney. So I was imagining that approach and how different it is from, other birds that we see that fly and land on branches or the ground or whatever. But the chimney swift's approach is here, boom, and drops.
Yeah,
So
and they're fantastic too. And I won't tell you which way they go because I think that is
I'll have
worthwhile
to,
seeing. Is it head or foot first, or how do they, is it wing first? Like how do they get in there? But what's so spectacular is if you've ever been around, I know there's like when I've been around the chimney swifts, there's only a few of them usually in a group. I think there used to be, I'm sure, many thousands of them, but now there's only a few. But I have seen other swifts, like the Vox swifts in Washington State, and they go down into the chimneys as when they're migrating, they find these chimneys, but there's like thousands of them. And
yeah.
when at nighttime when they all come in for their roost, it's like they're just dropping so fast, so fast, so fast, so fast into the chimney, and I'm like, wow, like talk about surrender. Like, or is it intent? Like, do they know? Are they just like, all right? Are they just like, I don't know, we're just gonna end up where we end up? Like, we'll see what happens when we get down there. Like, I have no idea. That would be really amazing to, I don't know if anyone's ever videoed, like stuck a video camera, at the edge of a chimney to watch what happens when they go down. That would be a really cool thing to Google.
I bet YouTube's got a million
I
of
bet
them.
someone had to have thought about doing it. If not, someone should totally do that because that would be amazing to watch that approach, right? Yeah, what a cool
Yeah.
thing to think about, Anne. Thank you. Sweet. Anyone else want to share from this morning before we move on to a hawk nest conversation? I got to watch a bunch of different birds in their approach, and what I love was the crows came in, so one of the reasons why I asked us to do this morning was that you really can learn a bird. I wouldn't say it's like 100% accurate to identify a bird based on its approach, but you can learn a lot about a bird and make a pretty darn good guess based on its approach. Every bird sort of has its own way. There's like a unique approach. Some are, it appears the same as others, but there's always something like a little bit different about this one, like maybe it'll swoop and land and then it starts hopping around, or maybe it swoops and land and then drops down to somewhere. So starting to look for those details in the approach of the birds is really a fascinating, I guess, just discovery. And this morning I got to watch a couple crows as they came in, and there's a branch like over here, and they did do that. This one, like, they kind of come down and then up and land on it, right? So it's not like, and I think it does vary again depending on the weather and what's happening, but quite often I'll see that where they down and up, right? Versus just like straight in and down. It's like they come down and like lift their wings to slow them down a little bit and then land on the branch. And so just knowing some of those behaviors of the different species of birds, you can start to, from a distance, again, I'm always looking for interesting ways to learn birds where I don't need to have binoculars. You know, it's like, what if I didn't have binoculars? How would I know this bird right now? And so finding those fun ways to observe them is yeah, it's just fun. All right, so let's hear a little bit more about the nest. So you were saying, Anne, that oh no, it was Julia. Was it Julia this morning? Yeah, Julia, about the nest. What? Oh, she's talking. Well, why don't we go to Cheryl? Cheryl, you have, was it the red-shouldered near you or red tail?
Okay, I believe it is the red-tailed hawk,
Okay. Okay.
but I'm not positive because the same May sky that's in Southern California is currently in Northern California, and it's been May the whole time I've been observing this nest.
Yeah.
And there's hardly any sunlight to go through the tail to let me know, but it appears to be a red-tailed hawk, and it
Red-tailed.
has a kind of messy, but a deep cup of I mean, a big deep cup of a nest that is tucked in a area of one of the branches. It's got a whole bunch of small branches come, well, not really small when you look up in the tree and see how big the tree is. So a number of branches that it is cradled in, and it looks as if it has been used in the past. And I see early in the morning, and I've been noticing that I hear the red-tailed hawk during the dawn chorus, but it comes at the end. So like at 6:30, I hear the hawk leaving the nest. One of the hawks leaving the nest, you know, making a sound, and I come over here and try to see it, but it's so dim, and it has been so dim this last week that I can barely even see the hawk in the sky. So, but during the rest of the day, I only intermittently see it, and I'm doing, you know, I'm doing a whole bunch of other things, and I think I would have to sit out here for a really long time to be able to notice anything, and I haven't been doing that. However, I have seen, after one adult leaves, I see another adult sort of standing and kind of moving around in the nest and then rearranging and then sitting down. And I don't know what they're doing because I haven't seen any little heads pop up at all. And I don't have a scope. And my binoculars, well, as good as they are, do not take me far enough to really get a good handle on what's happening there.
That's
And
perfect though.
I consider climbing onto the roof, and then I consider how old I am and say, maybe that isn't the best thing for me to do.
No, I
So,
just think you need to have Della come over there and you guys can she'll be your spotter.
yeah, but once I fall,
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's hear from Julia now so we can get a sense of, because Julia, you said you got to see both nests and there is a distinction that you noticed in the two of them. So what was your observation?
Well, the red-shouldered hawk, and I understand from others that this is common, is in a fork in the tree. Both of these are sycamore trees, by the way. It's in the fork of a tree, and it's pretty neat. I mean, it's big. It's, you know, made of twigs, bigger, not just leaves or something. but it's kind of neat, you know, in contrast to the red-tailed hawk, which is just a mess. And it again, it's not in a neat fork of a tree, but like Cheryl's hawk, it's, you know, supported by I'm not sure what, because it's all just a kind of looks like a pile of sticks. And I wonder why the difference in that. I mean, there must be some practical difference in those things, or they wouldn't bother, you know, they wouldn't have made theirs that way.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious too because I was telling, I'm not sure if it was you guys or in one of our master sessions where I was talking about this osprey nest I watched one year when I was in Cape Cod, and it was across the street. It was this beautiful, like one of those like quadruple decker ones where they'd been building it for years, and it was super, super tall. It actually had house sparrows nesting right at the base of it. So like in the old part of the nest, like right below it, where house sparrows were nesting, and like up above here, like the osprey were coming into their big, big nest up there. But then right across the way, there was another osprey nest that I don't remember if someone told me or if I observed it. I can't remember how I figured it out, but that was actually a young couple. And their nest was a disaster. It was like this first osprey nest was gorgeous. It was like so sturdy again, like it held like, many multiple years of osprey nesting in that one spot. But this other nest was just like sticks and random things all like, put together and like, I don't know, some garbage hanging off of it. And it was just all falling apart. And I'm like, oh, those poor kids, like they don't know what they're doing yet. And it was a young osprey pair that just didn't have the skills yet. So part of my curiosity is this red-tailed hawk nest just kind of how red-tailed hawk nests are? Are they just messier than red-shouldered hawks? Or could it be a younger couple that built their nest in this way and it looks a little bit more disheveled because of that? And I don't know the answer, but that's just one thing I want to throw out there as something else just to consider. But it seems like both you and Cheryl are describing fairly similar nests. There's a little bit of disheveledness to the nest that you're looking at. It's not, compact and tidy like that red-shouldered is. So that's interesting.
Well, I was told this weekend is that's how you tell the difference between a
Oh,
red-tailed hawk nest and the red-shouldered hawk nest, that the red-tailed hawks are untidy.
that's cool. All right. So then, but I'm guessing that the size of the sticks are probably similar that they use, would you think? Or from what you saw, are they similar size sticks, like in diameter?
I don't know, well, red-tailed hawks might have a little bit bigger ones, just slightly bigger. They're still, sticks that not they're not moldable twigs.
Right, of course. I'd be curious if there's like a size difference in the sticks. Again,
Oh,
like from such a distance, it can be hard to tell. It's just like, oh yeah, that one's like 2 inches in diameter versus 3 inches in diameter. It's like who could really tell from that
Yeah.
distance? But I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where, again, like, or do they pick longer branches, and so because they're longer, it's hanging off and it makes it look messier. Maybe the red shoulders picks more like shorter. Yeah. So I'm just really curious about all those differences that can occur with the different nests. And yeah, and Cheryl, I really love your diligence so much with what you're doing right now in the birdsong class, but just in everything, and your diligence to continue to watch them and learn and just keep asking really good questions to try to figure out, who they are, and like listening to them, watching for interesting behaviors and whatnot to give you clues. So yeah, well done, well done. And that's Julia, that's cool that you were like tapping into the distinction there of the two. I love that. And thank you I mean, we all get to learn from this too. Anyone else have red-tailed or red-shouldered hawk near them at all with a nest? Yeah, Anne, what have you
In
noticed?
fact, that's been my allies point for the last couple of weeks. And just how you're talking, I'm looking and I can see the tree trunk. It looks like a slingshot. And I'm just too far away and I saw somebody leave and I can see two things in there. So I'm walking out today. My husband's all, he's very timid and he's like, don't get too close. Don't get too close. I'm thinking, it's up in a tree. I'm not too close. But I'm going out there today and I'm going to take all this information and see and make some notes, and I'll report back next week and let you know. Oh, well, Monday's Memorial Day, right?
Oh yeah, good call. We
Yeah.
should probably, so maybe
I'm not doing.
you're not, okay, do folks have plans for Memorial Day? No, yes, no. Okay, should we pass on next week or should we do next? Let's like hands for yes, bird sit next week? Bird sit okay, we'll do bird sit. Great. There's Cindy, she pops in. Nice. Okay, great. We'll do bird sit. So, what were you saying before that?
I'll go take a look at my nest and see
Yeah.
and report back on big sticks, little sticks. And I know we've been seeing some other nests and we're looking at them and it's like, that's not a squirrel's grave. There's more sticks than leaves, but it's so low. It was in like an apple tree. So this time, and then it's so, animals are good. Birds are great at hiding.
They're good. They're good. Yeah. So
right.
I'm just really curious, really quick, what was your husband, he was cautious, you said, about getting too close. Why was that? For
Because
the
that's
birds?
him. That's him.
But is it for the birds or for you, like for your safety?
Him. For him. Oh, for the birds. Well, he didn't want me to disturb the birds.
I see. Yeah,
Yes,
I don't think,
yes.
I mean, again, like it's not something I would encourage like a group of people to go out and do all the time. But, like for you in your yard, if you approach like calmly and quietly and centered, like they'll be fine. Yeah.
And we had some bluebirds and he yells at me every time I peek in the nest. So
yeah. I mean, it is best to like, it's best to leave them alone as much as possible. I know, but like I watch that with people who monitor bluebird nests, like they open them, I think on like a daily basis. I don't know.
Yeah,
I watched you guys here. They have one, they opened it while I was here the other day and I'm like, I don't know, wouldn't that disturb? But they don't, the bluebirds keep coming back. And so.
Yeah. And that's why I was able to tell them, yeah, we had eggs a week later. Yes, they've hatched. And then I checked on it and somebody got them, and he was all upset and thought it was the cats. And I said, no, the cats would have drug the nest out. And I said, snake, rodent, big insect. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, cool. Anyone else have anything they want to share before we get going? Yeah, Cheryl, please, one more.
Let's see. I've unmuted. Okay. While we were doing the bird sit this morning, I noticed a young junco, dark-eyed junco, landing on my table, and then I noticed another junco adult landing on my table, and the adult popped into the little cage that I have protecting the bowl of bird food from the squirrels and other rodents. And the big adult popped out and the juvenile junco opened its mouth. And I thought, oh, what is going on there? And then the adult popped back in and hopped over to the juvenile and put a seed in the mouth. And then hopped back in because the juvenile didn't go away, and did it again. And I have not seen this before. Of course, I haven't been out here during this time of day because I've been doing other things, but it was delightful. And I thought, my goodness, here is a fully grown, fully fledged little bird, and he's still wanting mama or daddy to feed it. And I thought, how precious. And then I saw them both flying up onto the roof a little bit later, clearly the same two. And Mom went and found something on the roof and came over and gave it to the fledgling chick. And then they both flew off. No idea what it was, but how fun. So
that is fun.
That was
Cheryl.
it.
Yeah, we're getting to a really fun time of the year right now with all the babies and parents and the drama of life. And so thanks for your observations and your stories, everybody. It's really, I feel like we all get to learn from each other right now, and this time of year it just gets so fun and exciting. So thanks, everybody. All right, so we will have session next week, and yeah, keep looking at how birds approach whatever it is they're approaching. and let me know what you discover. Until next time, have a really beautiful week, everybody. Much love. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.